Evening, guys. It's 5:49 at night. Still the 19th of April, 2023. Virginia, California, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so you probably heard this one. How many quote-unquote red states we got out there are actually figuring on the employment pool of a kid who's going to be working his ass off in even industrial areas because the adults either can't do it for whatever reason or there's not enough adults doing the damn jobs. So now 12 and 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds have got to go into the major labor pool and the heavy duty stuff. Are we getting back into the Charles Dickens Victorian ages where there were no rules and regulations for child labor laws? That every kid is going to be growing up working their asses off. And in certain countries, they probably have those kind of work ethics going on. Growing up, heard stories. I heard stories concerning about in certain countries in the Far East that if a mother actually gave birth, after a few years, the kids would be out there not playing around but working. I may have heard that wrong. I know there have been certain comedians out there who tried to make light of the situation, but this is reality here. Even kids have to work their asses off. It's one thing when I'm seeing kids trying to be herders, flock herders, I call them. No matter what kind of flock it is, they still have to take care of their flock. Sheep herder, goat herder, they're basically herders. But in our industrialized age that we have, when we put kids in the factories where they're working and sweating their asses off and dying like crazy in there, and not getting paid very much. Cheap ass labor. And who are the assholes doing this shit? 50 and 60 years old are probably thought, oh, it wouldn't have been a good idea, but we had them back then. We had our kids working with us, but now they're lazier than shit. We got to tell them, we got to teach them otherwise. We even had child labor laws when I was growing up as a kid. It's one thing when you saw 17 and 18-year-olds, maybe almost 16-year-olds, working in parks under adult supervision, but not really with mechanized equipment. Back in the 80s, I know the city of Los Angeles had the Summer Youth Employment Program. And there have been different areas in the city of Los Angeles, different departments that they would have children working. Teenagers, actually. Not 12 or 13-year-olds, but stretching it on 16-year-olds to 17-year-olds to 18-year-olds. 18-year-olds would have been considered youth. Actually, would have been considered adult. Earlier than that, they were youth. So, one second. While listening to the news, I was also caught off guard with some other items that are happening. I think it was Iowa who put into their amendment about child labor laws 14, 15, 16-year-olds can actually work in industrial areas, meatpacking plants, potential bars. Some of these states, some of the red conservative states, want children to work their ass off at lower wages. Now, I can understand we're talking about a summer employment program, but we're talking about almost 20-hour-a-week jobs, not 40-hour, but 20 hours because they still got to go to school. Now, if we're talking about summer programs, that's one thing to keep them out of trouble. But in heavy industrial areas, putting them in bars. That's a good way of starting up future alcoholics. Not to mention potential sexual issues happening. Meatpacking plants, potential hazards for kids losing limbs one way or another if they're going to be doing the very hazardous work. And because some of the adults don't want to do those kind of heavy duty works, and we have an immigration worker shortage one way or another, might as well get our kids working into this situation. Now, it's one thing if I'm saying doing park and rec duties left and right. Raking, using tools left and right under adult supervision. Nice. Speaking of kids, we have 13, 14-year-olds out here, and a little earlier than that, playing around. Would they understand what being safe is around equipment? I sure as hell didn't. That would be being safe around a damn shopping cart, helping with a paper route, and busted my elbow in three places here. I wasn't paid. I was helping my brother out on a damn paper route. He was 8 years older. He was 15 years old. 15 years old. What was I, about 6 or 7? Oh, he's about 13. 13 years old. And I had to be put into a hospital. No workers' comp, no nothing. I was lucky enough my mother had some insurance, but the bills were still murderous, even back then in the 70s. And I was stupid. David didn't have any adult supervision for himself because he knew he was going to be safe enough for that, but I had to come along. I'll probably blame myself on that damn situation. Maybe I insisted. I don't know. Maybe Mom insisted. Maybe David insisted. Didn't matter. It didn't matter because I still got injured on the job. But I wasn't working. I wasn't employed. I was helping my brother out. I was a volunteer. We got into a high-rise shopping cart we were using at the time, trying to move the papers from one area to another area. Rolled off a street curb. I bounced down the street 3 times on my elbow and busted it a few times. And Danner ate a car. The game almost got close to a car's tire. If the car didn't stop, I wouldn't have been here. Still, would I be considered child labor law? The paper routes during those days depended upon kids going and collecting money and delivering papers. Kids of all ages, apparently, up to a certain level. They were hoping maybe they had some maturity. They were delivering the Herald Examiner at the time, when it was an operation. We read the Herald. We were subscribers to it. I couldn't understand one damn thing about it, but we were subscribers to it. Mom was reading the paper. And so would Dave. Kids playing should be the sound. Not kids working their asses off trying to get killed because older adults feel like they should. And yes, we had these labor laws happening since last century. Because how many kids got injured and how many kids got killed in industrial situations. And yet we had them because we didn't think it was hazardous for kids to be working. Birth of our country all the way, give it a couple of centuries, and now we're dealing with this. It's just blowing me away. It's one thing if I'm saying about a 16 or 17-year-old may have a little bit of sense and a little bit of maturity to understand. Yet you have to be safe around equipment that you're working with. Rakes and hose. They could be still deadly implementations if you're not careful. But we had adult supervision watching us. Imagine having a kid going into a car manufacturing place. Or imagine a 12 or 13-year-old going into a meatpacking place going to be getting your bacon fixed. This makes me sick to my stomach. Kids should be playing to a point, but I can understand about 16, 17-year-olds looking for work, doing part-time work. And sometimes they have to lie about their ages trying to get full-time jobs. But employers look for high school diplomas, GEDs, college degrees if necessary. If the kid has any ID with him in the first place. Because in order to work on the books, you have to have identification and tax information in order to get the W-2s going. But it's off the books that they're going to be working their asses off about. It's cash on hand. Cash under the table. And nothing recorded. Not even in employer books. Maybe in different books that they won't have officially for the state or IRS tax boards. But all the regulations thrown out because they can't get enough adult help for their places. So now we got to depend upon our kids. Why we look at it so differently these days? In other countries actually used kids a great deal as well. Maybe because we got sick and tired of our kids getting nailed one way or another, getting injured or killed. If they were safe enough, well, yes, but if they're not safe enough, then what? Oh well, you're going to be missing an arm and a limb? You're not going to be damn useful to anybody. Get out of here, kid. Hobble out of here. I need an able body to handle this heavy equipment over here. Maybe you can learn how to fix drinks if you can. However, without your legs, oh well. Or without one arm, I don't know. Can you do that? Mix drinks with one arm, with one hand? Sure as hell can't get around with a wheelchair in the bar. Even behind the counter, you can't do that. Or even with crutches. Doesn't work. Hell with the Disability Act. Still need room. Still need ability. And I'm sorry, the ADA doesn't cover kids, do it? It only covers the adults. Because we didn't think about adults. We didn't think about the adults forcing their own kids to work in heavy industrial areas. Now, I understand about being a cashier or a ticket counter person. Maybe we're even working concessions. Maybe something a little safe if it is. You know, I'd seen kids working over at movie theaters a long time ago. But the thing is, the things I was used to a long time ago, we didn't have what we have right now as it is. We got streaming. We got cable movies. We got computer operations left and right. These kids are turning to creativity on TikTok and other media platforms and showing off their wear. Fine. They can show off their wear that way. They can show their creativity. They can show how intelligent they can try being. But the thing of it is, let's force them to work their asses off. We've got a heavy duty job out here in manufacturing plant. We're going to need small hands. I was watching a long time ago, Schindler's List, and Spielberg tried to get it. He really tried to get this one nailed. It was showing how some of the kids in the war manufacturing plants, how tiny their hands were, and how they could do such intricate work. The shell casings. Their hands could fit into the casings and able to do stuff. I was just seeing that. I was just remembering it now. I had to keep her being. I had to remind myself that when our country started, every kid was working. Plantations or farms, kids were working. To this day, the kids were working, learning how to milk milk animals, herd, ride horses. And we got a problem with that. Ranching's hard work. My brother enjoyed it. And then again, he enjoyed that kind of work. Me, on the other hand, I never had that kind of work. Except I had to fall out of tree houses and bust bones left and right as a kid. And the only time I get to be working as a teenager was a short 2 month stay in a work program. Paid me every week. And I had to work my ass off like crazy for it. But even in one particular area where I had hornets about to kill me, I hit a nest without me realizing when I was clearing off brush with a weed whacker. I was lucky enough I wasn't allergic to the damn thing, but still scared the shit out of me. Then I ran for the company truck and hid in the damn thing. Took them a short time for them to get into the damn truck, check me out, and pulled me back over to the workhouse we had. Monitored me for about 30 minutes to see how I was doing, and then put me to work again. If I didn't get any reactions, I was ready to go back to work again. I wasn't going to be paying for sitting down on the job. And it was still a part-time job. It was about 8 to 1 or 8 to midnight, 8 to in the afternoon. I mean, it was only a few hour thing. So I spent about maybe an hour and a half, almost 2, working in a park with a few other guys, cleaning it up. I talked to Ma about what happened. Sent over to the doctor, tested me out, and no, I wasn't allergic. But it scared the shit out of me, that's for sure. To this day, I stay the hell away from buzzing insects. Didn't matter. So now I'm hearing the red states want to push people. Arkansas is one of those states where we have to keep pushing the kids to work. You can't be a teenager. You can't work your ass off. We're going to be going all back to Victorian ages. As far as 10 or 11, or is it 12, somewhere in that area? Are they barely mature enough to work? But we got to force them into work during that age? screw federal regulations at this point over here. This is a state here we're talking about. Several states are considering that law. It's like we're going back into the 1800s again, or worse. So this is crazy. This is crazy. Try this other one. Tennessee's at it again. Tennessee's in social media. Tennessee has been shown that certain lawmakers out there want to increase the process, shorten up the time it takes to get books off the shelves in libraries and schools. And there's an argument between one Tennessee lawmaker who got his ass kicked out and reinstalled back into his job again, arguing with the bill's sponsor. And it was going back and forth on this one. I don't know what the resolution was. But it was supposed to be a bill to shorten up the process to get rid of books, including history books and other books that other people found offensive. But it was taking too long to get them processed to reviewed. Shit, in one of these damn red states, they had an issue concerning about the Bible. I think it was Utah, but I haven't heard anything about Utah. If they were still trying to review the Bible as being an improper book, because as soon as the Utah governor signed it into law, somebody actually took offense to the Holy Bible. Didn't matter which particular version it was in. And it said that there was multiple verses in there that was objectionable. So they had to go through the law. But there hasn't been anything I've heard since then. This was like about 1 or 2 months ago. Book banning, curtailing civil rights, curtailing our own freedom to read, our First Amendment rights being curtailed, federal rights, United States. It's no wonder that social media is picking up a hell of a lot of interesting little stories here and there that the big ones usually miss, and if they do, they're playing catch up on this one. Fox News and their defamation lawsuit that they got nailed with settled out of court. My personal opinion, it should have been reamed to the court system. They should have put their own people on trial. They should have put them on the stands for them to testify. Be public embarrassment. So I don't know what the hell kind of deal that... I don't know what kind of deal that Fox had. But Fox gets out and they're laughing their asses off. They paid some chump change. It's a hell of a time we're living in right now. Civil rights, our own Bill of Rights being attacked left and right. Liberty and freedom getting reinterpreted or misinterpreted. You go on YouTube and if you happen to plug in some of the channels I'd seen, the Young Turks, for example, Rebel HQ, TYT List, MSNBC, or Fox, or even Charlie Kirk. Yeah, you hear the back and forth on this one here. For a political science student, that's all you'll be hearing, except when you go on the main news and try to figure out what the hell's going on. Or C-SPAN, when you actually have the committee hearings going on. And listening to that one, where you hear committee members going after each other. One person happens to accuse another guy, another member in their committee, and couldn't overrule some of the stuff that was said. But for the rest of the meeting, that accuser was banned. Couldn't speak again. Some of the older statesmen in the committee really had a problem with the chairman, and not to mention the one who's doing all the mouthing. So now we're dealing with that issue. It's like, what else can go wrong these days? What else can you hear that's going to be driving you absolutely insane over this stuff? What can you and what can't you deal with these days? You're getting it hit by all sides of if this is real or if that is just out and out malarkey. I'm not going to say bullshit, but malarkey sounds a little bit better. Personal name, though, if you actually found a person name of malarkey, then you've got a issue with that name, then, don't you? I hope not, because I'd rather not have an issue with that name. Malarkey. But we're still dealing with it, aren't we? Yeah, we are. So now what? I don't know. You're going to have to tell me.